सारे ਨੂੰ ਪਿਆਰ ਭਰੀ ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਆਪਣੀ ਸੋਨੀਆ West. Welcome to Khas Mulakat. Joining us today we have on the program Megan Dykeman, Parliamentary Secretary for Community Development and Nonprofits. Welcome, Megan.
Oh, thank you so much for having me on your show today. I'm thrilled to be here.
Yeah, you're very welcome. We're excited to have you. So the BC government declared October 30th as Nonprofit Recognition Day, and on the same day announced $60 million in grants for nonprofit organizations. That's very exciting.
Oh, it's such exciting news. And I know that nonprofits throughout British Columbia are really excited about both the recognition for our partnership and this funding, which is so important for the vital work that they do for our province.
Yeah. Can you please tell us about the 4 separate types of organizations that will be supported by this funding?
Absolutely. We have 4 streams of funding that we announced for totaling $60 million, including the Community Prosperity Fund, which is given to community foundations across British Columbia, who then in turn will distribute grants to an organization in their community. We have the Lighthouse Organizations Fund, which is funding for just large multi-service organizations to support poverty reduction. And we have seen that they've been the most impacted by the rising service demand. And these are ones that were ineligible for the first round of funding. And what's really great about this funding is that it's multi-year flexible funding, which is something in my time as parliamentary secretary, I heard is so important to nonprofits. Then we have a third fund, which is the Recovery and Resiliency Fund. And it's for organizations that also could not be considered last year. And around $72,000 will be given to each, to about over 30 organizations that met all the criteria last year, but were deemed ineligible. And then the fourth one is the level BIPOC grants, which are being allocated to organizations that have passed an adjudication process that are working to advance racial equity and racial justice within their communities. So it's quite exciting, the range of organizations that this will impact.
So the 2 new streams are coming in the new year then?
Yes, that's correct. They'll be opening in the new year. And we're working with the Vancouver Foundation to distribute that funding. So you apply through their website.
Okay. What would you say is a priority for the BC government? Housing, homelessness, racial justice, and why is this funding so necessary?
Oh, that's a really great question. Our government's really committed to improving the lives of British Columbians. And all of those are such important priorities because they're often interconnected. So in providing this grant funding when it was developed, we recognized that we really know that nonprofits work to address the most vulnerable challenges in our communities. And racial justice and homelessness and all of those are groups of people that really benefit from the important work that nonprofits do. So an example would be part of funding went to the South Asian Legal Clinic of BC in Surrey, which is dedicated to empowering people through guidance on legal matters. But we also know that housing organizations that provide housing for a broad range of people also impact lives positively for British Columbians. So there isn't necessarily one organization that's a priority over another. We're looking at the whole province and how we can lift people up.
Right. Let's talk about eligibility and the process, because a lot of people watching are thinking this is excellent, $60 million in funding, but how do we get that money? Who's eligible and what are the steps someone needs to take to get that financial support?
Absolutely. That's another great question. So there is slightly different eligibility for the 2 streams. Okay. There's full detail on the Vancouver Foundation website, but some of the things that are really important are working towards our priority action areas in the BC's poverty reduction strategy. So that includes housing, family, children, youth, education, employment, income supports or social supports. Okay. And ones that are working also in poverty reduction towards affordability, opportunity, social inclusion, and reconciliation.
Okay, so if someone wants to take advantage of these supports, how do they go about it? Do they log on to the computer and research it? Do they phone someone? How do they go about it? For the laymen that are watching like myself.
Oh, for sure. So the Vancouver Foundation website has links to the information related to eligibility and application, and we'll be regularly updating the website with any information. If you have specific questions related to it, reaching out by email or phone to the Vancouver Foundation is another great step.
Okay, that's great. And then the viewers that are watching, you've given us a lot of information. Is there anything that you'd want to share with them aside from what we've talked about, maybe with your role that you have right now? Any information you want to share with our viewers?
Oh, thank you. I just want to reiterate how important nonprofits are to our province and how much as a government we recognize the importance of that partnership. We know that they're vital to people and communities in our province, and we saw during COVID, it really highlighted how much they work to help people overcome challenges and make a difference in the lives of families. I've had the privilege of serving in this role for a year, and in that time, I've got to hear so many stories about the work that nonprofits do and how they positively impact people's lives, from housing, health, cultural supports, and food security. The work that they do makes a real difference in improving the lives of British Columbians. And that's why we felt that it was so important to proclaim October 30th as Nonprofit Recognition Day, and why we were able, through those stories, to double the fund for nonprofits that for this year, from $34 million last year to $60 million this year, because we recognize that they provide key services for people in our communities.
Absolutely. You're doing wonderful work. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, and thank you for the opportunity to come on today. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you. And a big thank you to you, our viewers. My name is Sonia West. I'll see you again next time.